Okay, so thank you again for attending this 8 p.m. talk. I hope you guys had a good dinner. Kami mag-order pa lang. So my name is TJ Monserrat. I think I introduced now kanina. Again, I apologize. Medyo kasi may vertigo pa ako, so parang umiikot lahat yung yung paligid sa akin. So ngayon lang ulit siya nag-stabilize. Um, so my talk is about introduction to progressive web apps and what advantages can we gain from PWA. So setting of expectations, I just want to ano lang, set the talk that this is what we will be talking about. Um, wait, let me check kung meron. Yeah. Okay. So just in case you guys have questions, just let me know on the chat or just let the host know kung ano yung mga questions niya so that I can answer them. Setting of expectations, what is PWA, why PWA, and how to make a good PWA. So first is, what is PWA? Progressive Web App is actually sort of like a something that is in between web apps and native apps. The idea with web apps is another word or fancy word for website. So websites meaning when it comes to um, when it comes to your typical website that is, let's say, built on React, built on Vue, or even just PHP index, HTML index, or I mean HTML and CSS and JavaScript, or under PHP backend servers or Python or whatever it is. Those that we see on the browsers, they are web apps. Native apps are things that are, in essence, downloadable through the Google Play Store or Apple App Store, and things that have a lot of capabilities that is, let's say, it can use the camera to your phone's camera to scan things, or use geolocation to um, maybe know where you are, and or even play music, or use the gyroscope of your phone to be able to know what is the orientation of your phone, and so on and so forth. So those are native apps. In essence, web apps are, or PWA is a sort of a web app that has a lot of capabilities and can also be installable. So this is what this graph looks like. And in essence, because PWA web apps has a higher reach, everyone with the PC or phone has a browser installed in it. And the idea of PWA is built on these ideas, where it's a web application because it runs on the browser, which is already installed. You don't need anything fancy in it, but it has enhanced capability, reliability in terms of making sure that it is running on it runs whenever wherever you are. That means um, as long as even if you are not connected to the internet, your app runs. Um, and installability, in a sense that it looks like a usual application on the phone. So but the thing is, PWA is not something that you install on your web app, or you just code it on your web app and it becomes a PWA. Actually, it is a set of techniques and practices to make sure your site offer more features, be reliable and usable regardless of network connection, and be installable as an app for easier access. Okay, so why PWA? Now, uh, businesses or even you as a developer would ask, why do I need to care about PWAs? Why do I need to even think about doing a PWA um, to my web app. So in other people would ask, would the customer actually care, or for your product manager, does it grow our business, or for you, is it for you as a developer, is it feasible or robust? Thing is, people want ease of access. People will go back whenever they have a good experience. People will always go back if once they access your site, it's there. It's very fast. Uh, People don't want slow stuff or even no internet stuff. The thing is, if they sort of how to say this, um experience already something that, let's say, the site has been disconnected, or there there's no internet, or maybe because they went into a spotty location in, let's say, in their drive or whatever it is that they where they are, and they are accessing your website, and it goes down because um of that spotty location. They will switch to a different um, site, or maybe just use an application itself. So the idea is, if we can make sure that your website is fast, installable, reliable, and still engaging regardless of where they are, then it becomes a good PWA. The thing is, with PWA, there are now systems in place in the browser that allows us to cache resource, not only just cache in essence na using the what we know as caching in memory, but allows us to make the page accessible regardless if there is no internet, regardless if there is internet or not. There is also predictive prefetching. That means it prefetches all of the necessary resources without loading them all at once. And then again, there's offline browsing. Our browsers allows us to have offline browsing as long as, again, your system has the code with it. And lastly is the web push notification that allows us to push events towards the phone, or even the browser. And then again, installation. So those things are now on the browser that allows us to do added features, as well as um, reliability on your web application. Now, business success definition can be a lot of things depending on your activity, but usually the business success of a web app will most likely be users spending more time on your site or your service, or maybe reduce bounce rates. Bounce rates meaning they don't exit the site and go elsewhere. They become something that will be your customers, or maybe they will buy something, um, or interact with people within the your website or web app. Now, there's also improved conversion rates. That means, of course, they actually buy things, and again, more returning visitors. So one example is that for when eBay optimize their sites, um, making it like improvement in load times. 100 milliseconds is small. Actually, it's just point 0.1, yeah, point 0.1 seconds. Um, that's like, in sort of, for us, it's really negligible when you wait for your app to load, but it's actually has a 0.5% increase in our add to cart count. So in essence, when it comes to data, you'll see that even just a small up to like 100 milliseconds improvement in load time, some people take notice um, without them knowing it, and they don't switch to another site because and they continue the journey of their customer journey to buy things. Now, the idea also of PWA installing is seamless is that sometimes your site will have install PWA. There's a pop-up that will show up seamless PWA add, and then they continue the conversion funnel, or meaning that journey of having them buy stuff or whatever it is. Now, install app on application will have them redirect to the app store, download the file, which is maybe 50 MB, 100 MB, and then create a new account or log into their account from there, and then just uh, create or begin a new conversion funnel, which is a bit longer. And for people who are getting a little bit more impatient, people are getting a little bit more impatient because of technology, because we are used to have being fast now. This is something that is excruciating even for me. I really don't install a lot on my phone right now because first is it takes long to install. My phone is a bit old. I think I gave my phone to my wife because we need to buy food. And then the other thing is when doing my phone is a bit old, which means it's slower than before, and I think it has lesser space. So that means I cannot afford to install like 5 or 600 MB worth of apps. So like I think 600 MBs worth of application. So because I don't have a lot of space left. So that's the problem of applications that PWAs may have. Um, I think PWAs may have uh, solved, because PWAs, on the other hand, you just need the HTML files, JavaScript, which supposed to be is less than 100 kilobytes on first load, and maybe if it's like the full website that it has already pre-cached on your phone, it's just what 2 MB, 3 MB worth. So yeah, that is one thing. And the other thing is install your PWA everywhere. It can be installed on the mobile and desktop with using one code base. So that is another benefit in doing using PWA. So one instance with Weekend Desk, which is a business success setup that they have, is when they added PWA capability into their site, which allows installation of the web app. It has a 2.5 conversion rate from installed PWA. So that means um, there is a 250% chance of that user buying or using your site or being a return customer because of PWA. So the other thing is PWA can reach semi-engaged users, people who are just casual users who are um, would not really install your native app, but because they are on your website and they saw that okay, your site is really good at doing its service, they can install your native app, and still they would just go back more and more and be a convert in essence. Uh, Ay, sorry, kailangan ko daw umorder ng pagkain. Yan. Ayan. So, there. Now, there's another business success case study here, which is Trivago. When 3% users go offline because of unreliable network, their web app offers an offline mini game to entertain them, which allows it to become 67% 60%, 67% of those who come back online continue browsing their site. So thing is, it's not about the dinosaur going up and down. You just play it when there's no internet. You can provide some experience, or you can provide even the whole experience on your site, even offline, and they will be happy about it. Now, here is where we, in essence, get a little bit technical here. How to make a good PWA. So there is a checklist that you can see on web.dev, which I have. We will go through here. There is a core PWA essential, making sure that once you have this, this will already give a boost on user experience. And one of them is start fast and stay fast. That means if you want some kind of baseline, um, you'll need to have your website to be within 5 seconds be interactive. What does it mean? That means if your site loads, to be able to become interactive within 5 seconds, you'll need to have your components at 170 kilobytes or lower, compressed and modified. So that means in gzip, it's 170 kilobytes. That is in sort of 3G network. It will take 5 seconds to load, parse, and execute your code in the browser. So why do we need to do a below 5 seconds time to interactive? The problem is, um, if your site looks like on the looks like this, where yeah, it shows your site really fast in 2 seconds or 3 seconds, but the user is clicking on something, trying to do something, trying to input something, but they cannot do it because your site still loads that big chunky JavaScript that you have painstakingly coded because it's sort of good for user experience. It's bad for user experience, as you can see. You click, you try to click on it many times, and you see that it doesn't work. And if you see that it doesn't work, even if it shows something within 2 seconds, if it's not interactive within 5 seconds, people will go and either throw their phone or just go to a different website. So that is a bad user experience on the web. So we need to stay fast. We need to start fast and then stay fast. That means all of the interaction should be um, within 5 seconds, or even once everything is loaded, you need to have your interactions below a second or two, because any lag on your interactivity means that your user will have a bad experience. So to do this, you need to optimize also resource loading, because when you optimize the resource loading and rendering, again, they can see the information already growing or expanding on your website, which is something that will be loved by your user because they can see content already instead of waiting for everything to load. Now, the next is make it work in a wide range of devices that your target users use. So this is something a bit different. Uh, uh, on my end, I don't want to push you guys to like go to all devices, especially if you don't need to support IE11 because your users are not using IE11. So on my end, this is for developer sanity as well. If you don't need to support really, really, really old browsers, then don't try to support it. For the sake, but you can still support it as long as you are able to do the following. you might need or you really need to use proper HTML on this one. Knowing what HTML tag to use and not divs and spans will make your site be able to look good or even be interactive on older devices. Now, you need to also use CSS first for all of your, let's say, interactivity until it becomes unwieldy. In essence, for animation and so on and so forth, CSS is good on even for hiding and showing stuff. So there is an HTML for that, and then you can do CSS for animation, and then just add JavaScript for additional interactivity, like if for dragging and dropping certain items, and so on and so forth. Now, you can also check if an interactivity or a functionality exists in JavaScript before doing that functionality so that your site doesn't crash. Now, the thing with JavaScript is it crashes silently, and people doesn't really know that it already crashed. So that means if your JavaScript crash, um, interactivity is lost, and people will just think, okay, this thing is lagging or it's not doing what it's supposed to do when you click the button. But it's just a bug on it's just a bug because their device doesn't offer that functionality, and you should just check it if it's there. Um, the last thing is, don't add too much interactivity if it's not going to be useful for users. Like, do not do a lot of like um um how do I say sa Tagalog kasi magarbo. Anything that is too shiny but doesn't add to the user experience, because even if it looks good, you're for designers, I would beg yeah, flashy. Thanks, RJ. My English is not good whenever you have vertigo. But the thing is, um this is also for my friends in the design team. Please use things that are really useful for the users. Do not design something that will take a lot of time to develop. So you need to also ask your developer friend if this is going to take a lot of time. Because sometimes it's easier for the user to just do whatever they already know. In essence, being intuitive enough. Like everything is in grid pattern um or in list pattern. They just do a checklist. Don't reinvent the checklist. Will the checklist um don't reinvent the wheel. So that means don't reinvent the checklist or drop down or whatever, because it's already there, and adding a design sometimes might not help, especially for the next set of things that we'll see here.